The Lord be with you, and a warm welcome to you from all of us here at Powerscourt with Kilbride. As Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz said, there is no place like home. But I do have to argue a little bit. We had a wonderful 2 weeks away in huge heat, 30 to 37 degrees, which for us Irish is quite huge heat, in a place called Sitges, about half an hour outside Barcelona in Spain. Ourselves and our family went a very precious and blessed time, and we are totally relaxed and ready for this very busy season coming just around the corner now in the church's year. Starting in September with the return to of the schools, we move through the season of Advent and then finally into Christmas. And of course, at the very beginning of all of that, we have harvest and give thanks to God for His created order. This morning, our service takes a little bit of a different style just for this week, because there's something that I wanted to share with you, which was a minor miracle in my own personal life. But there might be an underlying message in it for somebody listening today who is in need of that message. And there are some rather, I think, remarkable shots or a remarkable perspective that was given to me by the divine. But as always, as our service begins, let's just take a breath. Let's just pause for a moment and clear our minds of all the busyness of our lives, all the things on the list within our minds that we need to do, and focus entirely, make our intent be upon the faith that we hold in this square, in that person of the Christ and in the triune God. So we just pause for a moment now to steady and ready ourselves as we begin. You have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away. You search out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, O Lord, you know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is so high that I cannot attain it. Where can I go from your spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and settle at the farthest limits of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me fast. I've had very mixed emotions about flying in my life. To be honest, for the better part of my life, until my children were born, there wasn't a problem with it at all. In fact, from a very early age, I used to visit my mum's sister in Blackpool, and of course I'd be on the plane, and that beautiful takeoff and even a bit of turbulence and the amazing power of the braking in the landing, never seemed to bother me at all. In fact, it thrilled me. It was a marvellous experience. And then for some reason, and I do think it happened around the time when my children were born, I began to look at everything as a threat to them, even the loss of myself. And so flying became something that I was incredibly nervous of. And being, 30,000 feet or whatever it might be above terra firma was terrifying for me. And it was an irrational fear, many would say, or certainly try to convince me, that built as the years progressed. So you can imagine, after 4 years gap with regard to moving into a new parish, with regard to COVID, after 4 years, getting back on a plane seemed to be a daunting thing for me. So I did a lot of praying. I said to God, look, I trust in you, I serve you in your church, and I just need to put my money where my mouth is and trust that you are with me. And the most remarkable thing happened. And I want to share it with you this morning, visibly share it with you this morning. But before I do, to say to you that from the moment I got up on the morning we were about to fly, of course there was excitement there about going on holidays, but there was also this strange peace within myself, an answered prayer without a shadow of a doubt. And I thank others as well who I had said, will you ever say a prayer that we get there safely? It was a sort of a calm, a peace, and I found myself only suffering from joy and excitement when I got on that flight. The release of the tension, of the anxiety, of the fear that some would say is irrational. To me, it was a very rational fear, meant that I could relax and perceive everything around me. And what I saw spoke deeply to me of the power of the divine. Between ourselves, this was an opportunity for me to sit in the plane and quietly within my own mind speak to God. It wasn't, oh God, keep us safe. Well, it was, but it wasn't, oh God, keep us safe and help the plane not to crash, and oh, how high are we? It was actually, good morning, God, and waiting for a response to come into my mind. Thanking him for all he had given, thanking him for the opportunity of the holiday, asking his blessing on this plane and all planes and all pilots in the world. I had a great conversation with our Lord. It was only when we went up over the clouds that this realization hit. And it was as a result of me relaxing back into the divine. It was the most remarkable view that I have seen for many years. It was like as if God allowed me just a glimpse of his perspective, to stand back and have a look at the bigger picture, to see that beneath the clouds we all carry out our lives in a way that we can only perceive as being the only way. Our worlds are so minutely small, even though they feel overwhelming at times. So I got that perspective from God, that he can see the broader picture without a shadow of a doubt. I looked at the sun on the clouds, the beauty of them. I thought that underneath it was a cloudy day in Dublin, in Wicklow, in Ireland. But the sun was shining above those clouds, and it gave a distinct feeling of hope. That God was always smiling, regardless of the trouble we got into, regardless of the clouds that came into our lives. That the light above them continued to shine brightly and divinely. But most of all, and I have to share this also with you in saying that when I was putting together the video with a bit of music that I'm now about to show you, I was overwhelmed, I was deeply moved by the glory of God. I saw such beauty in it. Forgive me, the words came to mind. Who is man? Well, I see all of this. Who are we? That you place us just a little lower than angels. It was astounding. The glory of God in his created order, in the gifts that he gives us in this world, in our experience of it. And notice the plane in this. The plane is really important because the gifts he gives us also is in the intelligence of man, to get us up there in the first place, to help us to rise above those clouds and to see the views that we see. It's overwhelming. I hope it touches your heart. I have left our prayer time for this specific reason, that you may look at what I got a glimpse of seeing and glorify God even in your awe of how magnificent he is, in the glimpses that we catch of him, in the things that he gifts us with.